The Republica is a dialogue on Roman politics by Cicero, written in 6 books between 54 and 51 BC. It is written in the format of a Socratic dialogue in which Scipio Aemilianus states the role of a wise old man, a typical feature of the genre. Cicero's treatise was politically controversial. By choosing the format of a philosophical dialogue, he avoided naming his political adversaries directly, by employing various speakers to raise differing opinions. Cicero not only remained true to his favored skeptical method of setting opposing arguments against one another, but also made it more difficult for his adversaries to take him to task on what he had written. Setting and Dramatis Personae. Setting: the dialogue is portrayed as taking place in Scipio's estate during 3 consecutive days. Each day is described in 2 books, with an introduction by Cicero preceding the dialogue of each book. A large part of the last book is taken by Scipio telling a dream he had. This passage is known as Somnium Scipionis, or Scipio's dream. Participants in alphabetical order: Fannius Gaius, consul in 122 BC, follower of Stoicism, historian and orator. Son-in-law to Lelius Gaius, close friend and associate of Scipio, consul in 140 BC, promoter of the study of literature and philosophy. Manilius Manius, consul in 149 BC, historian and legal scholar. Mucius Scævola Quintus, legal scholar and patron of the young Cicero. Son-in-law to Lelius. Mummius Spurius, satirist and extreme defender of optimate interests. Brother of Lucius Mummius. Philus Lucius Furius, consul 136 BC, orator. Rutilius Rufus, Publius, politician admired for his honesty, dedicated to Stoicism. Scipio Aemilianus Africanus, p. Cornelius, famous military and political leader 149–129 BC. Captured and destroyed Carthage in 146 BC. Restored order after assassination of Tiberius Gracchus in 133 BC and mediated between the political factions. Died suddenly and mysteriously in 129 BC. Tubero Quintus Aelius, Scipio's nephew, tribune c. 129 BC. Legal scholar dedicated to Stoicism. The title of the dialogue. While already the Latin version of the title of this work is given in 2 versions, depending on source, the translation of the title of this work show even more variants, often based on the choice of the translator. The expression res publica is notoriously difficult to translate. Its modern English cognate, republic, has acquired quite different connotations from the original Latin meaning, rendering the term here problematic if not outright anachronistic in its implications. Because of the difficulties the title affords, there is no general consensus on how best to retain the sense of the Latin in translating the title. It is helpful to note that Cicero almost certainly had in mind the title of Plato's celebrated dialogue Republic when naming his dialogue. While Plato's dialogue is often translated as Republic, Politeia translates more literally as constitution, regime, or setup, and the long tradition of calling the dialogue the Republic can be attributed to Cicero's own treatise and treatment in Latin. English translations of the title of Cicero's De Republica has been translated as ... Republic, a translation neglecting the first word of the Latin title, which is the equivalent of on or of. Other translations of the title include On the Republic, a treatise on the Republic. Although Republic can appear in neutral translation of Res Publica, it is infected by the many interpretations given to the word Republic afterwards, as mentioned above. So, the translation of Res Publica has many variants. Sometimes Res Publica publica is translated into Commonwealth, hence treatise on the Commonwealth is a possible translation of the title, On Government or on the State. Cicero's intention was however probably more specific, the type of government that had been established in Rome since the kings, and that was challenged by amongst others Julius Caesar. By the time Cicero wrote his De Republica, history of the text, large parts of the text are missing, especially from the fourth and the fifth book. Only minor fragments survived. All other books have at least some passages missing. Scipio's dream, which is only apart from the sixth book, is nearly all that survives from the book. The Somnium Scipionis, as it is known, survives because it was the subject of a commentary by Macrobius, who excerpted large portions. Both he and his readers in the Middle Ages and Renaissance were mainly interested in its discussion of astrology and astronomy, especially given the loss of the rest of the book. An enterprising copyist early in the textual tradition appended a copy of the Somnium to a copy of Macrobius's commentary, but this copy appears to be inferior to the one Macrobius was reading. This text became so popular that its transmission was polluted by multiple copies. It has been impossible to establish a stemma for it. The largest part of the surviving text was uncovered as a palimpsest in 1819 in a Vatican Library manuscript of a work by Augustine and published in 1822. Before that date, Scipio's dream was the only larger excerpt of the text that was known to have survived the Middle Ages. The other fragments are mainly quotes found in the work of other authors. Through these other authors' discussion of Cicero's treatise, the main topics of each book can be surmised. The discovery in 1819 by Cardinal Angelo Mai was one of the first major recoveries of an ancient text from a palimpsest. And although Mai's techniques were crude by comparison with later scholars, his discovery of the Republica heralded a new era of rediscovery and inspired him and other scholars of his time to seek more palimpsests. A photostat was published in the 19th century by the Vatican Library, and a transcript is available in the 1908 supplementary proceedings of the American School of Rome. Uncertainty continues over several corruptions in the text that affect key data, such as the structure and size of the Comitia Centuriata in early Rome as described by Scipio in Book 2. Another key area of debate is the One Corrective Hand present in Vat Lat 5757. Some scholars believe the corrective hand was a more skilled copyist, perhaps a supervisor, who had access to the same text as the copyist and was correcting the first work. Others have concluded that the corrective hand had access to a different version of the text. It is worth noting that in one letter to his friend Atticus, Cicero asks him to make a correction to the copy of De Republica Cicero has sent him. This correction is not present in the Vat Lat 5757 version of the text. Content. Apart from the Greek philosophers mentioned above, Polybius was also an important source of inspiration for Cicero's political views. Since not all of the work survives, some of the content is surmised from references by other ancient authors. Book 1 contains a discussion between the protagonists of the political situation of the time. The theme of the work is given and some comments are made about the theory of constitutions. Book 2, an outline of Roman history and the development of the constitution. Book 3, the role of justice in government is examined, as are the different types of constitutions. Book 4, a discourse about education. Book 5, the characters converse about the qualities of the ideal citizen in government. Book 6. Little of this book survives except the Somnium Scipionis, which functions as a conclusion to the work. Style. Cicero carefully edited the Republica in order to achieve exalted style. Cicero used several archaic expressions in the treatise, even though he hadn't supported an archaistic movement in the Latin literature. The causes were the setting of the Republica in the past and discussion of historical and legal matters. His later works contain less archaic words, but more neologisms. Archaistic words in the Republica are distributed irregularly among the survived volumes. Frequency of the outmoded words in Book 2 devoted to historical matters is 2 times higher as compared to Book 1, where the theoretical issues are discussed. Cicero tried to emulate speech of the dialogue's participants by reconstructing several aspects of spoken language of the Scipionic age. The treatise has other stylistic features. Large amount of antitheses compared to other philosophical works and elements of the archaic grammar still in use in official language, but completely outmoded in public speeches. Quotes. This excessive liberty soon brings the people, collectively and individually, to an excessive servitude. Bibliography. Cicero, On Friendship and the Dream of Scipio by J. Powell, Wiltshire, Harrison Amp. Phillips Limited. Cicero, De Republica ed. JEGZ Cambridge, Cambridge. Cicero, On the Commonwealth and on the Laws ed. and trans. JEGZ Cambridge, Cambridge. Cicero, The Republic and the Laws ed. and trans. N. Rudd, New York, Oxford. Fott, David. Marcus Tullius Cicero, On the Republic and on the Laws. Cornell University Press. Howe, W.W. Cicero's Ideal in His De Republica. Journal of Roman Studies, 20, 24-42. Keys, C.W. Original Elements in Cicero's Ideal Constitution. American Journal of Philology 42, 309-323. Powell, J.G.F. The Rectore Publici of Cicero's De Republica. Scripta Classica Israelica 13, 19-29. Sharples, R. Cicero's Republican Greek Political Theory. Polus, 530-50. Access date equals requires URL equals Wood, N. Cicero's Social and Political Thought. Berkeley, Los Angeles, University of California Press.